Good evening. My name is Matthew Melchor, and today we're going to talk about why the death of Julius Caesar was the beginning of the end of the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar is probably, no, he is my favorite idol. Favorite, you can say person I look up to. Someone I think is very admirable. Someone that has a rapport that just, it speaks for itself. The Caesar is regarded as the greatest, you can say conqueror, greatest general, and you can say the greatest leader of all time. Now, why was his death so? Now you were asking, like, given what he has done, it should be no surprise that whenever he died, it was the Roman Empire never really recovered. It never did. While it did last for over 1,000 years, it wasn't what it was. Because with Caesar, they were at the very peak. They were in their own league. There was no one in the continent. There was no one in that time period that could come close to the Romans. Now, as we move on to the second page, who was Julius Caesar? Julius Caesar Julius Caesar's exact date of birth is unknown. Some claim it was on July 100 BC, which makes sense. Julius Caesar. I'm not saying that's the reason why he's called Julius Caesar, but you can kind of assume. I wouldn't say assume, but you can kind of correlate that, like the month and the name. But anyways, Julius Caesar came from a noble family. Julius Caesar became a Roman general, arguably one of the greatest generals of all time. He conquered Gaul on the year 50 to 58 BC. He was a part of the first triumvirate alongside Pompey, Magnus, and Marcus Crassus. And they say dictator of Rome 46 to 44 BC, which was the year he died. Now let's talk a little bit about the first triumvirate. The first triumvirate was basically they were the three most powerful Romans at that time period. You had Pompey Magnus, which was not only very wealthy, but he was also a very decorated general. You had Marcus Crassus, which was the richest man of all time. Well, not all time, but he was the richest person at Rome at that moment. And then you had Julius Caesar. Now, how Julius Caesar, you could say, bested both of these rivals was that Caesar had charisma. Caesar was a man of the people. Caesar was not only that, but he was also very brilliant whenever it comes to tactics. He was the best general, and they knew it. Now, now that we talked about the triumvirate, while Caesar did, in the end, beat both of them, I wouldn't say Marcus, because Marcus Crassus, he died. He didn't die at the hands of Caesar. He died at the hands of his own arrogance. He picked a fight he couldn't win, and he was never a general like let's say Pompey or Caesar. That wasn't his thing. Marcus Crassus was more like a businessman. While he had the means and the legions and the money, he did not have the savvy. He did not have the experience, and he didn't know how to lead a man. So, yeah, he died at his own hands. Pompey, he did get defeated by Caesar, but that's another story for another day. Now, why is Julius Caesar such a loved and admired person? What made him such a compelling figure that even 2,000 years later, after his own death, here I am making a video about this guy? Caesar was loved and admired by many people, including myself, for many reasons. He was a man of the people. He really cared about the normal citizens. He created a lot of public works. The Romans are known for creating basically the first public works. We're talking drainage systems. We're talking wells. We're talking even warm water baths. Like, they were pretty good at doing stuff. Like, we're talking about the concrete. Like, the Roman Colosseum that's 2,000 years old, it's still standing there. It's still standing there after 2,000 years. But not only that, Caesar was a brilliant general, and he garnered the respect of his soldiers. He treated his soldiers right. He gave his soldiers land. He paid them very fairly, and it created such a camaraderie, a camaraderie between these soldiers, him and his soldiers, that were very loyal to him to the end. Now, the death of Caesar was it was a big plot. It didn't happen like, let's say, oh, I want to kill Caesar right now, let's kill him tomorrow. It did not happen that way. And the reason why it didn't happen that way is because Caesar always was very careful. He always had his guards around him all the time. So the people that killed him, they knew they had to pick their spot. They knew they had to lure him somewhere where he wouldn't be surrounded by his bodyguards. And that was the Senate floor, because whenever any senator or anybody that was in that room, you can't even bring any daggers. It's not allowed to bring any daggers, swords, or guards. So that was the only way the conspirators were able to kill Caesar. The death of Caesar was known as the Ides of March. And the culprits of the assassination were orchestrated by the same senators that Caesar went to meet, some of his closest generals, and even people that are very close to him, like Marcus Brutus, which we will talk about later on. The main people that were responsible for the assassination are Gaius Longius, which was a general, Decimus Albinus, Publius Servilius Casca. I'm sorry if I can't say these names right. I know that it doesn't roll off the tongue as smooth, as you would think. Lucius Tillus Cimber and Marcus Junius Brutus. These all right, let's go back to that slide. Oh, we can't. When Caesar was killed, the main reason they claimed that the people killed him, like the reason that the conspirators killed Caesar was because Caesar was kind of consolidating power, and in a way they viewed it as the end of the Republic. But Caesar understood more. It's like, what's the point of you governing a country, you doing your best, but the minute your term is up, it's going to go back to what it was. And I think that's what Caesar was trying to do. But anyways, these senators, these people, that these conspirators viewed it a different way. They viewed it as a threat, that Caesar just wanted to be in power forever. And they knew they had to act, and so they killed him. They killed him in the Senate floor. Now, after the killing was done, Marcus Brutus prepared a speech to the Roman people, basically explaining their actions, why they killed Julius Caesar. And in short, the Roman people did not like that. The Roman people did not like that at all, because Caesar was a very loved person. If anything, they viewed it as an omen that bad things were going to happen, and they did. It did. So the people that were responsible with Caesar's death, they all met a gruesome ending. They not only died horrible deaths, their families lost their power, they lost their status, they lost their lands, and they lost their lives. They met horrible ends. And alright, come on, slide. And in conclusion, Nothing good came out of this. I want to reiterate this. Nothing came good out of this. While some people might view Caesar as a dictator, others, like myself, view him as that if there's anyone that deserves to have that amount of power, it would be him. Because he understood what power was. He understood the people. He understood politics, and he knew how to win wars. And the people that killed him, in short, they all wanted to be him. They all envied him. They were all filled with vanity. They wanted glory. They had ambition. That's why they killed him. They wanted to be him, but they could never be him. They tried to tarnish his name and reputation by claiming that Caesar was a tyrant and responsible for the death of the Republic in the Roman Empire. In reality, they brought the end of the Roman Empire, because after the death of Caesar, Rome was never the same. It was all internal conflicts. It was like whoever took the mantle as emperor, they wouldn't last that long, because there was always conspiracies. Always conspiracies. They all wanted power. It was all like a power grab. And the internal conflicts is what diminished the Roman Empire potential to grow, and their control and the power of the region. And eventually they collapsed. They collapsed, but before that, the Roman Empire was in such a dire situation. They literally split up. They made a Western Roman Empire, which was in Rome, and then the Eastern Empire, which was Constantinople. While the Western Empire did collapse within 500 years, the Eastern Empire lasted a little bit longer. Lasted until 1453. But in short, they lost their hold of power. After Caesar died, they weren't touted as the #1 global force. They lost their way.